Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Friday, May the 7th. It is the first Friday of the month, which means in our 10:30 segment, we devote time to talk about what's going on with the Community Foundation of the Holland, Zeeland area. And more often than not, we are joined by its fine president, Mike Goorhouse. He's on the other end of our Zoom connection. Good morning, Mike, and welcome back to WHTC.
Morning, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Glad you are with us. We have a question about whatever the Community Foundation of the Holland, Zeeland area is doing. You may certainly ask it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. Before we get to the couple of topics you have in mind, this is maybe a good time as any, especially if we got some people who might be listening to us who are not normal listeners to us because they're visiting our fair area for the Tulip Time Festival. And they're saying, wait a minute. What is the Community Foundation of the Holland, Zeeland area? Mike, what is the Community Foundation of the Holland, Zeeland area? Answer that question for us.
Yeah, so the Community Foundation plays two main roles in the community here. So one is to build, manage, and distribute resources from our community's endowment. So an endowment is a set of resources, philanthropic resources that donors over the course of 70 years have given to, donations of $50, $100, $500,000. And they put it together in one endowment with the belief that the foundation will be able to steward those resources for whatever needs and opportunities arise in the future. So it's for folks who say, hey, I care about the Holland Zeeland area. I want it to thrive for my kids, my grandkids, and for everyone to come in the future. And I don't know exactly what things are going to happen in the future, but the Community Foundation will be there reviewing needs, analyzing opportunities, and distributing resources to make a difference. So that's kind of the first part of our mission is building and managing this community's endowment. The second part of our mission is providing services to donors to help them achieve whatever their charitable goals are. So helping them think through, do analysis on nonprofits, helping manage the financial side of their giving, which we can talk a little bit about today. But really, it's a service provider. It's all charitable dollars, but we're helping companies, families, individuals best achieve their charitable goals during their lifetime, and then through estate giving as well. So those are kind of our two things: community endowment management, and then donor service work. And those are the two main pieces that we play in the community.
If you got a question for Mike Goorhouse, the president of the Community Foundation of the Holland, Zeeland area, I'll be happy to take it at 616-395-1450. Good morning. You're on the line with Mike Goorhouse.
Yeah, hi, Mike. I'm wondering, is there a way to just generally give to the Community Foundation, not to a specific fund? If you had an organization that was trying to do, say that they're giving back a portion of their proceeds to benefit, All Holland Community Foundation would be a recipient of this effort, but instead of saying I want to have it go to this fund, can it just go to a general fund, like kind of like a United Way that you give money there and they divvy it up?
Yep, exactly. So yes, very much. We call it, to give it a name, we call it our community's endowment, but that's the general fund. That's the fund where donations come in, and then the foundation receives applications from any nonprofit, and we review them and make decisions. So yeah, a general donation goes into that community's endowment, and it goes out to support education or mental health or housing or whatever the various things are going on. So absolutely, you can do that online on our website, or our office is on 8th Street. We're right across the street from the Visitor Center, kind of right by the Knickerbocker Theater there. You could stop in with a contribution that way too. So either way, works just great. We'd love to have the support. Thanks for asking.
Excellent. Thank you again.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for the call. 616-395-1450 if you have a question for Mike Goorhouse of the Community Foundation of the Holland, Zeeland area. Of course, the website is cfhz.org. And of course, we always put a link to that particular website when we put the podcast of our conversation with Mike on our webpage at WHTC.com. So you just click on Community Foundation of Holland, Zeeland area, and that link goes right to the webpage. one of the
Gary,
things that,
Gary,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, what I might just say is, and the individual who called in, I'm really grateful for the call. And I'll just maybe pause a second and say, this is often the kind of situation in which people support the Community Foundation. They say, hey, I want to give back to the Holland Zeeland area broadly. It's going to go to seniors, youth, health, education, kind of arts and culture, a wide variety of things. And the Community Foundation is a great way to do that. The United Way also is a good place to do that. But the Community Foundation is a place where you can kind of say, hey, I want to give back broadly to what's happening in this community. So I just want to pause and say that others that may be listening, that is often how people think about the foundation. They may have 4 or 5 organizations that they support directly that they are really passionate about, and then they say, I'm not going to write 35 checks at the end of the year, so I'm going to do 4 or 5 of my favorites, and then I'll do a contribution to the Community Foundation to then support all these other things that I care about, but I might not actually write a direct check to all those different organizations doing important and good work, but my support of the Community Foundation then in turn supports all these other things. So that's just a way that people think about us as a vehicle to help impact the community.
And I'm going to add one other thing, and we've talked about this one thing before, and I want to revisit it. People who might want to donate now because they're happy and living and all that, but they want to donate after they have passed. Legacy giving. Certainly, the foundation would be willing to help in that regard as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge part of what we do. And actually, there's some stories that I was actually planning on sharing today that if I can, Gary, I might just go right into that, because this is a huge part of what we do. When folks think about the end of their lifetime, which we don't like thinking about, but the reality is we all are going to pass at some point. When you think about what's going to happen to the resources that you have when you pass away, many choose to pass those on to kids or grandkids or other family members, which is very appropriate. But many also think about giving back to charity. And they often think about it in terms of estate tithing. So maybe 10% of their estate goes to charity, or they think about it as, I've got 3 kids. I'll, instead of splitting my estate 3 ways, I'll split it 4 ways. And then the fourth share goes to charity. So a share to each of the 3 kids and then to charity. So there's different ways that people think about it, but the foundation's a great way to do that giving beyond your lifetime. So I'll just give you a couple examples. There was a woman here in town. Her name was Barbara Skipper. She was a teacher, both in the classroom, but out of the classroom. She was involved in lots of things related to young people. She was a court-appointed special advocate. She tutored many young people and adults as they got their GED. And when she passed away, her family established, with resources from her estate, a field of interest fund specifically for early childhood education. It was a passion of Barbara's, and they said, this is a way that our mom or spouse in this case would want to make a difference in this community. So there will be the Barbara D. Skipper Early Education Fund forever. There will always be resources on behalf of Barbara in her memory and honor that will go to support early childhood education efforts in this community, early literacy. And the foundation will be here to see which organizations are doing that work, because organizations do come and go over time. So the foundation will be able to say, okay, Ready for School is doing really good work on that right now, or the ISD's got intermediate schools has a good program right now, and we support that. So that's an example. Just, another example is a woman, her name was Angie Van Hoven, and she was a phenomenal woman. She was a nurse. She served in the Army Reserve Nurse Corps in World War II. And she was actually director of the Visiting Nurse Association in Holland, and then owned and operated the Woodhaven Skilled Nursing Home in Zeeland. It's now the Heritage Nursing Home. So she was, if you know Angie, if that name's ringing a bell, she was nurse. I mean, that was just, her whole career, kind of what she did, but not just being a nurse, but operating associations and facilities. So that was a huge part of her life. And so she established a scholarship for young people who wanted to become nurses. So she unfortunately recently passed away. She achieved a very fruitful age in her life, so it was an okay thing in the end. But much of her estate is going to this scholarship. I shouldn't say much. A portion of her estate is going to this scholarship to ensure that other young people have access to school should they wish to become nurses. A perfect way for Angie to kind of have her legacy live on beyond her lifetime. If you knew Angie, a nursing scholarship, and that's just perfect, right? And so the foundation is here for these types of things. If you're thinking about, hey, what kind of mark do I want to leave on the world? What kind of way do I want to impact the community beyond my lifetime? The world's your oyster in a lot of ways. There's so many different ways you can think about what are things that I'm passionate about? What are things that I'd love to change about the world, or things I want to support? And the Community Foundation can then help facilitate that beyond your lifetime in ways that can assure you that the resources are going to the things that you want them to go to. So you're right, Gary, estate, helping that estate side, it's a perfect time. Not that we like thinking about the end of our lifetimes, but it's the perfect time for the Community Foundation to be helpful for an individual or couple as they think about making a difference when they aren't here to make those individual choices themselves.
Yeah, that's and this is something that we probably want to bring up with either Jack Godfrey, Carrie Cooley, our investment advisors, or even Kevin Clark, dealing with estates and end of life situations as well. And I assume there's somebody on staff or access with the Community Foundation that can be able to help individuals and families in that particular situation. They contact the foundation, set up an endowment, a legacy, and then go from there. And it's appropriate you brought up Angie Van Hoven's story, because yesterday was National Nurses Day and beginning of National Nurses Week through next Thursday, which is next Wednesday, which is Florence Nightingale's birthday. So we honor all of those who have served as nurses, and Angie was one of the best, as from what I understand.
No, well said. It's a perfect time to do that, and certainly coming out of a pandemic, or we're still kind of in it, but through this last year, nurses have certainly, we always knew they were extremely important parts of our community, but the last year even more so, and important to honor that.
Mike, you touched upon this when you were last with us last month, saying we're going to get to it in May. It's time to get to it. The second round of the Stabilization Fund grants. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, you got it. So we continue to make grants in response to the pandemic and the environment that we're in right now. We call it our Community Stabilization Fund. We have for a year now. So this is our second round of grants in 2021. We did, 6 rounds in 2020. But in 2021, the second round that we recently announced, the big focus was on education, and in particular how we help students who have fallen behind during the remote learning environment, and just the overall tough year it's been in the education world. So the first grant and largest grant is going to the ODC network. They're launching a new program called Project 180, which is a partnership with the Ottawa Area Intermediate School District and a number of local school districts to bolster the summer learning opportunities for young people. So really grateful that the ODC network stepped up again, like they have in so many ways, to get innovative, creative, and put new things on the table very quickly. So this is a partnership with Holland, West Ottawa, and Zeeland schools. And it will be a summer program, kind of pre-K through 5th grade. And it's going to be a really good opportunity. So if you have a child or know someone kind of in that pre-K to 5th grade, this summer learning opportunity called Project 180 with the Outdoor Discovery Network, connected to the school districts, ask about it, learn about it. The foundation is just one player. Many others are contributing to this as well, but we gave a $40,000 grant to be helpful in this program becoming a reality, to help young people continue to catch up on some of the learning. Similar thing with the Boys and Girls Club. We gave close to $20,000 to the Boys and Girls Club to expand their Power Hour, which is their tutoring, learning portion of the Boys and Girls Club. So just increasing the capacity to run that program for more hours and have more people on site to help more kids. So the Boys and Girls Club serves young people between 1st grade and 12th grade. So that goes a little bit older range. So our grant will help with increasing hours, but also making sure kids can get to and from the Boys and Girls Club to access that tutoring program. So that'll also be summer learning, but now as well. And the third was to Escape Ministries. Again, almost $20,000 to Escape Ministries for a similar line of things. So a summer bridge program So helping young people, and they're going to focus on what we call rising ninth graders. So folks that are eighth graders right now going into ninth grade. It's a critical year as people transition from middle school to high school, and we don't want those young people to start off on kind of a tough note as they go into ninth grade. So Escape Ministries will focus very specifically on those eighth to ninth graders with a summer program, 6-week program. And again, if you know someone that could benefit from that, please reach out to Escape Ministries. And in addition, our resources will go to help with that summer program, but also increase their capacity to do work around mental health and substance abuse counseling for the young people that they serve. We know that mental health and substance abuse and needs and issues have been on the rise the last year. And so we want to support their efforts to support young people on those fronts as well. So those are the 3 big ones, about $80,000 total in those 3. We also gave a few grants related to the public health side of things. And we haven't done a lot of this because there's been a fair amount of resources going to the public health response. But what we found really early on in the vaccination efforts, this is back in January, February, was that everything was going so fast, and we were building up these systems. We were launching sites really quickly, that there were certain populations that were having a hard time accessing those, the way those things were happening. So a lot of it was happening digitally, virtually. You had to have an email address. You had to try to sign up for an appointment really quickly. And many of our seniors and many of our lower income folks and community members of color, that kind of technology wasn't a very effective way for them to access the vaccine. We also had concerns amongst some members of our community about the vaccine. So we gave grants to Evergreen Commons to work specifically with seniors, and then 3 other organizations, St. Francis de Sales Church, Immigrant Relief Fund, and then the Grand Rapids Asian Pacific Festival, to be liaisons, to help members of their community access the appointments as they were available, and also share information. The county health department was putting information out, but as we all know, information is received differently from a government institution than someone who may be a friend or a partner, a fellow community member, goes to your church or whatever it may be. And so we wanted to help those organizations, which this was not part of their mission to help people access the vaccine, as you can imagine. But we knew that they had the connections and the relationships that if they were able to disseminate information, if they were able to help people go through this online sign up process, that it would be easier for folks. We'd get more of those individuals, particularly those that have been most impacted by the pandemic, to get the vaccine. And so we did those grants as well.
Let's get one quick question. Good morning. You're on the line with Mike Goorhouse.
Yeah, with all this money going out, I sure hope you have some kind of evaluation techniques to find out whether it's really worth giving the money to the different groups.
Yeah, we'll get that question answered. Yeah, nice one at the end of the show. But to be honest with you, yeah, you guys usually do a good vetting in terms of normally taking care of what is worthy.
Yeah, we sure try. I really appreciate that question. So we do a long process on the front end, and then we also do an evaluation process on the back end. So folks apply for these resources. We will talk to them, but they also submit applications for how they're going to use the resources, the impact they think they can make if it's a program that was done somewhere else. And then we kind of vet these against each other. I'm announcing the ones that have gotten awards. Unfortunately, we have to say no to just as many. So there are other programs that we unfortunately decline. So we do have a process for making those decisions. The decisions are made by a committee that includes some of our board members, but also community members that participate in that review process. So we have a front end process, and then after the grants are given, we have a back end evaluation process so that we can learn. Did that pan out the way we thought it was going to, so that we can learn for the future? But yes, I appreciate that question, and happy to talk more about that too.
With that, Mike Goorhouse, the Community Foundation of the Holland, Zeeland area. We'll button up our conversation for this morning. As always, we appreciate your time telling us what's going on. Appreciate the work that the Community Foundation is doing. And if all goes well, let's do this again next month.
Sounds good. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you very much, Mike Goorhouse on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.